Hello, everyone. Lou Weiss from Manufacturing Talk Radio in Fairfield, New Jersey, in the good old US of A. Thanks for joining us today. We've got an interesting show, as I think most of them are. Some people say they're boring, but I don't agree with that. We have a special guest. We are speaking to a gentleman from Stockholm, Sweden. His name is Sebastian Elmgren, and I'm going to bring him on right now, and we're going to talk about Industry 4.0 and Ericsson and how they participate in that. So, Sebastian, why don't you join us?
Hello, can you see me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Thank you for joining us. What time is it there now? The afternoon?
Yes, 5:05 in the afternoon.
5:05. So, I wish I was at 5:05 today. I will have already gone through all the crises and stuff of the day. Anyway, thanks for joining us. And today we're going to talk about Industry 4.0 and Ericsson, which is certainly a brand name that is known worldwide, probably even by the penguins on the North and South Pole. I think your marketing reach probably has reached there already.
Most likely.
Most likely is right. Sebastian, tell us, our audience, what we're talking about. What's Industry 4.0?
Well, to me, Industry 4.0 is really to use data in your production and be driven by data. And what that means is that, I mean, you collect data, and then you analyze data, and then you act based on that data. And then, of course, there's a million of different technology, I mean, AR, virtual reality, collaborative robots, and so on, but they all fit into one of these categories, either collecting, analyzing, or acting based on data. So that's my view. And then, of course, Ericsson with connectivity, we come in moving this data between these different phases in the Industry 4.0.
So is the purpose of all this data collection and data analysis and data implementation into your operation procedures and so on, is it for the purposes of better efficiency, better productivity, lower costs, ability to sell more directly to you, who your customers should be? And I can go on and on and on what the numbers give, because we have the same thing in our the All Metals and Forge Group company that we have that makes forgings. I had to put in that plug, sorry. So that being said, is that the purpose, or is it any one of them, or all, or?
No, I would say it's all of those, and I mean it's basically, I mean, it's very similar to how we always worked within manufacturing to be more efficient. But now it's new tools coming in, and also this to have it easier to work with large amount of data that we couldn't do before. Maybe one thing that's coming in is what you were touching here, really the flexibility to be able to mass customize. That's one thing that's coming quite strong. But all of these plays together here in as driving forces for the Industry 4.0.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is there any one particular aspect of data collection or data mining that has perhaps the greatest impact on a manufacturing facility over some other aspect?
I think, I mean, what I've seen so far, and that might be that it's a low hanging fruit is the predictive maintenance. I think that's an easy way to start, and it really gives a quick impact on your production. So to understand the status of your machinery and then do maintenance based on that, I think that's quite powerful.
Yeah, that frankly, I haven't thought about that. That's an interesting point. And what about the impact or effect on the shop floor, the employees, the skilled tool makers and the machinists and so on and so forth? Is that negatively impact them, or does it make their job easier?
I think it will make their job easier because, I mean, this is really democratizing the technology that we can put all the system support and all this technology on the shop floor in the hands of the people in the forefront. So it's really empowering them in a completely new way. And I think there will be a lot of industries that would need to reorganize how they're working, because decisions can be taken on a completely different level and quicker than before. There will be more impact on middle management, I should say, than on the people on the shop floor, actually.
Do you find resistance from either shop floor personnel or managers about the fact that, or I shouldn't say fact, but the illusion that this type of process eliminates jobs?
Not really. I would rather the other way around it. I mean, at least in Europe, we have there is an aging population. There is a lack of people who wants to work in the industry, and to introduce these new technologies will be a way of being an attractive employer for the younger generation. They don't want to work with old tools and so on. They want to have something similar to their iPhone when they're working, and then to use. So I think this is a way of attracting and keeping people, and also
they want to wear a white coat next to the CNC machine.
Yeah. So I think that's yeah, and also to keep all the older operators and so on, to keep them in having them being able to work for a longer time with more automation. They can then, you keep the competence. You don't need to do all the heavy lifting if you can offload that, but you can still keep the competence. So I don't see really this that the worriness that it will take job more, that it will make it continue to make European manufacturers competitive.
You mentioned an interesting point about Europe's aging community, which is happening here as well. It's aging. I think people are beginning to work. One time when you reach age 65 here, you were supposed to retire. Matter of fact, in some companies, it was mandatory. Now, people are working to. I heard a lawyer being interviewed last night. He's 103, practicing, and he has had his most recent Supreme Court hearing was within the last 2 years, and so people are, if I retire, I keep telling my wife, I said, why do I want to retire? She said, well, you should retire, I said, why? I said, if I retire, I'll probably start another business. So, but there are those who are bailing out. There are people, unfortunately, that are getting older. And the other thing that is evolved is that we have a slower birth rate. And the slower birth rate, combined with those who want to wear white coats and they don't want to work dark, dirty, and dangerous anymore, this is the way it's going. And you may as well buy in or drop out.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's exactly the same here in Europe, and it's. But
you have in Europe, you have the educational system to train tool and die makers and machinists and so on, and that's part of the required education, is it not?
Yes, to some degree, and then of course you can specialize, but there's definitely that basic. So I think that education system will be an important role to make sure we have the competences and also the new competences that will be needed, because we need to combine these old competences with whatever you need to handle the new technology as well. So I think that will be important, and similar to the lift in competence that we did, moving from most people being farmers to being able to work in an industrial environment. Now we need to do that, the educational lift again.
Right. Okay, so we've now gone through and we've discussed the issues, the problems, the people, the retiring birth rate. We did all of that. What does Ericsson do in regard to fixing, curing, improving, and so on, the way the world is today?
Yes, as you said with marketing, I think most people have now heard that Ericsson's big game here is 5G. So that's the thing we are rolling out now. And when it comes to the industry, the part of 5G which we believe most in is what we call private 5G or dedicated 5G, and that's really that you, as a manufacturer inside your factory, you get your own 5G network to fulfill your needs for machine-to-machine communication or whatever you need there. And that would be, I mean, it's a totally isolated network. All the data stays inside the factory. It's local survivability. Somebody cuts a cable outside, your production will continue to go on, and you are in control of all the resources there. So we think that this is where we can add value to the industry.
And clearly, it would have a positive effect on the cybersecurity global issue, because all your data is protected within your four walls, is correct?
Exactly. I mean, we think that, I mean, you need to, there are different kind of security measures that needs to be in place for a factory network than you have for an office network. You need to treat that differently and have that isolated. Still, you need to have some secure ways of exchanging data, but to have this isolated network to start with, make sure you have to have a secure foundation that you can build on.
Suppose I was a company like Ericsson, who we all have said we all know, and you have branches all over the world, facilities all over the world. Are they all plugged into the Industry 4.0 5G blocked in the four walls on a global basis?
Yeah, if we look at our own production, as you said, we have production all over the world, and they are adopting this technology. So they have their own 5G networks. So we have production in China, Estonia, and now also we opened a new factory in Texas, in the US, brand new greenfield, and all of these are powered by 5G, so to say, as we build that as a foundation.
So if Mr. Ericsson, the president, he's sitting at his desk and he wants to tap in and see what the production level of his new plant in Texas is, can he do that through his system?
Yeah, he will be able to do that. So there is kind of this control tower, so he can actually see everything that goes on in the factory if he would like that, down to the smallest truck moving around. Or an aggregated view might be of more interest for him, but in theory, he could look at all the details, yes.
That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. We're living in really, in many ways, a wonderful age, even with all the difficulties. And
definitely.
Has COVID at all impacted the value use of Ericsson products?
Yes, I mean, communication is more important than ever. So that this has been really a build out of all the infrastructure, and I think the use case looking at factories that have had the highest impact is remote assistance. So that's the use case where you have this augmented glasses and somebody on the shop floor can walk out, look at the machine that's not working, and somebody at the other end of the world can look through his eyes and give advice what to do. As we can't travel, we need to have that way of sending expertise. If it's a machine or if it's a new product that is being introduced, then we need to have the designer giving advice how to produce it. So that has been quite powerful, and I think that will live on. That to avoid too much traveling, to give this kind of remote support.
Sure. Well, that about that point about the future. What is the future of 4.0? Is it going to become 5.0 and 6.0, 7.0? I mean, are we entering the true living, breathing Star Trek era?
I mean, most likely. But I mean, we have already started with 6G now, so that's what we're developing. I mean, 5G we started a couple of years ago, and now we're just rolling it out. Now it's a ready product. So now we start with 6G that will be ready in a couple of years. So I mean, the development speed is quite fast here, but still they build on each other. So even if we're now introducing 5G, 4G will live on for many years together with 5G. So we're just adding capabilities and not taking away, really. So even if we talk with different generations here.
So we're just going to go shooting through the universe with newer and newer, bigger, better technology than ever before.
Yes, and I think, I mean, it's hard to imagine what you would do with more capacity than we have today. But it was the same when we introduced 4G. We had very hard to explain what people should use this for. I mean, what would you do with 100 megabits per second in your pocket? It's crazy fast. And now people are using that as nothing. And now we are introducing 5G, and it's like, yeah, it's 30 gigabits per second. We can't imagine the applications. But we know in a year or two, that would run out of capacity as well, because, I mean, there would be new applications that we haven't even thought about.
Right, right. And mostly because you didn't have the tool to be able to do it.
Exactly. Once you open the box and people see what's there, there's a new tool, then they will build on that.
I have a favorite expression around my colleagues, and that is, if it can do this, can it do that? And that's what I say to my computer people all the time. And, you know, boom, we're just off into the sunset, coming up with ideas and things that we could be doing and should be doing, and even improve upon it as you're developing it, which I'm sure you experience also.
Definitely. I mean, those are the best kind of discussions. And we often see that when we introduce these 5G technologies to manufacturing companies who haven't seen it before, and we say, yeah, this is what we've seen with other people do. And they're exactly as you say, ooh, but then we would be able to do this as well. And like, yeah, most likely.
Yeah, there you go. If it could do this, can it do that?
Yeah.
I've been doing that since 1990s. And you know, I'm an old metals guy, and here I am doing podcasts about manufacturing. This was really wonderful, Sebastian. I would like, if you would, to give our listener and audience your URL and how to get in touch with you if they have some direct questions, or perhaps somebody wants to place a purchase order, or what have you. So why don't you give us that information?
Yeah, happy to share. I mean, it's sebastian.elmgren@ericsson.com, and just drop me an email, and I can support you or guide you to the right guys within Ericsson who can do that. So, and if you want to learn more,
can you give us that email again?
Yeah, sebastian.elmgren@ericsson.com.
Excellent. Okay, that's great. Any parting words, Sebastian, before we take off?
No, just that I'm really looking forward to see how we can combine the manufacturing world now with the 5G technology and have this wonderful discussion as you have. If we can do this, then we should be able to do this as well. I think that will be what's driving this development to the next generation as well.
So I hold open an invite that as you, Ericsson, progress, and if you would like to come back on the show and talk about a new technology, a new this, a new that, please feel free. Our listeners are like sponges, and I as well. I like knowing the newest, the best, and the greatest. And again, I thank you for being on our show, and we will talk with you hopefully in the future.
Thank you. Nice. Thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to coming back.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye-bye. Okay. That was great. Really appreciate your input, Sebastian. I'm going to do my new exit from the show. I wind up blowing this ad up bigger, and then I do a walk off and let everybody see all the other shows that we do.
Okay.
Weekly shows. We have got a couple of monthly series. So I bid you adieu, and we will talk next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye.
So here we are. See our new background with our new shows, and I'm doing my slow exit.